Hey guys, Declan Plays HD here, and today I'm going to be doing a video on the top 5 cheap beasts you can pick up in FIFA 21. Now, I know this game's been out now for a handful of months. I understand completely that Team of the Year has just passed, but I still get that feeling that some people don't realise or understand that there is so many cheap options out there that you can get for under 5,000 coins to play into your team, to improve anyone who's new at the game. So I know that Christmas is gone and the potential periods of like popular new players coming in have passed. However, I feel like giving a homage to the 5 players that I feel like are the most overpowered, insane and best players to get for under that price range of 5,000 coins. I know that there is always new players on the game. FIFA is an ever-growing game, and it always has been, even since I started playing it 10 years ago, Ultimate Team that was. So what we're going to do is I've picked out a handful of players in varied, various positions. So I've got 2 strikers, 2 wingers, and I've even got a central midfielder that all have pretty good links and all from pretty good leagues that are under that price point. And I'm just going to get right into the video and we'll show you what's going on. So in number 5, I've chosen Chucky Lozano. The reason why I've picked him is because he's in the Serie A, he's a fast winger, and he also possesses a high low work rate, so he's always going to be up the pitch with 4-star skill moves, making it quite agile. So them base card stats can be used with a chemistry style to bump it up so that he's got a better overall rating and he's better in certain qualities. So realistically, what you really want to be doing is putting a chemistry style that does not require a pace upgrade, because 93 pace is completely fine to start him with. If you're going to be looking for something, I'd recommend going ahead and trying to get something that's got his shooting, passing or dribbling up, even his physical, but the physical is not really much of an issue due to the fact that he's only going to be running up and down the wings. Unless you're going to be using him as a false striker, then he wouldn't necessarily need so much of the physical side. I'm going to get him up on Footbin, and I'm just going to show you some of the possible chemistry styles, what versions you can upgrade him to if you wanted to in the future, and also how much he's going to be going for at the moment. So as you can see, he's currently going for 1,700 coins. He's a bit different on the Xbox and on the PC, but that's still reasonably priced if you played about 2 games of FIFA 21. You usually would start off with that many coins anyway after a bit of playing. He did start off when the game first came out at 16k, so that definitely shows that before the price fall, even a few days later, he looked like he was going to be in quite a demand. The chemistry styles that you can put on can apply to the guy would, say for example the Hunter, bump him up in certain positions that would make it so much better for you. So even though I said you shouldn't really be looking at trying to boost the pace, you can always put a Hunter card on him that will bump it up to 99. Some of the cheaper options that are completely within your grasp is to get an artist card bumping up his passing and his dribbling. It's probably one of the better cards you can get for him. Does make him 83 rated right winger instead of just being 80 rated. You can always bump up his finishing as well, so that he's got 85 shooting and 90 dribbling. That would make him an 84 rated card in the position that he should be, which is a right winger. That definitely helps, and the fact that he's in the Serie A and has so many versions that you can always upgrade to. So if you was to upgrade his card, say for the next one up, you're going to be paying 60,000 coins, 46k on the Xbox or 68,000 on the PC. It's quite expensive considering this is just a cheap video, but at the end of the day, these are obviously just future investments that you could be looking towards. There's also his 85 card, which is double that price, his 86, and also his headliners, which is 737,000 coins. So quite expensive, but at the end of the day, you can always just opt for that, you know, that 80 rated card, which is 1,700, 1,600 coins. Up next, the 4th player on this list is going to be Alan. Playing in the Premier League for Everton, the team I support. He is very good at being a defensive midfielder or a central midfielder. He possesses a high defensive side to his game while still carrying a little bit of pace to inject into your side. He has a medium-high work rate, which is completely fine for a central player. As long as you use your custom tactics well, you can always keep him behind in defence so he doesn't push forward, because his forward attributes aren't exactly a strong point, but you don't need that because he's going to be your heart of the front of your defence. But yeah, so Premier League player who's also Brazilian, and as we know, the Brazilian links are quite strong as well, so you can always put him in different leagues, or link him to different leagues rather. So what you're going to be looking at the attributes for this card is really the dribbling side, defensive side, and the physical side. For someone who's 5'9", he possesses such a high physical presence, since he's got, 90 aggression and even 78 strength, good enough for him to play in that central role. As we go on to FUTBIN now, I'll show you his attributes. As you can see here, he's currently 3,900 coins, or probably around 4k. He's 4,400 on the Xbox and 4,600 on the PC. He only has a wants to watch card at the moment, which is going for around 30,000 coins. So if he ever gets an inform, I'd recommend, if you've got the coins, having a little look at this card, because at the moment, whilst I'm filming this on the 4th of February, he is currently injured, but he is coming back in the next few days to the football club, so he could start in a few matches, and I can probably see him getting a few informs for the latter side of FIFA. So if you want to get his wants to watch card, I definitely recommend doing so. I'm probably going to pick it up myself soon. I did used to have it. So as you go down here and you look at the attributes that you could potentially put on him, the ones that I'd really recommend is something like a powerhouse. You can pick a lot of these attribute chemistry styles, sorry. You can pick them up for under 1,000 coins. And for example, the powerhouse card puts him to a 92 rated defensive midfielder. So for 4,000 coins, you could potentially be getting yourself a 92 rated defensive midfielder, which is quite crazy. Another recommended card that I'd say you probably could put on him is an engine card. If you didn't really want to bump up so much on the defensive side and you wanted to use him a bit more forward, his passing, pace and dribbling gets boosted with this one to make him an 87 rated card. And the final one that I'm going to definitely recommend to you for this guy is nothing other than a shadow card to put him up to 89. It bumps up his pace to 83 and it also is defending to 93 as well. It's definitely an expensive card, the shadow one, so if you can afford it, it's around the same price as Alan's card itself, but it's definitely recommended if you really wanted to make the most of his pace and his defending, because as we know on FIFA 21, they're probably two of the main attributes at the moment if you're going to be looking for a central defensive midfielder. So moving on to number 3. At number 3, I've got Rodrigo. So the main reason why I've got this guy actually as number 3 is because this card, I've tried all these cards, but the ones that I tried the most were Alan and Rodrigo, so they had to feature because they were in my starter squads a few months ago. I used Rodrigo quite a lot, mainly because he's very quick as a striker and has pretty good finishing for someone who's 82 rated and extremely cheap on the game. So the main things you really want to be looking at on the attribute sections is that pace and that shooting. So if there was any way that you could link up Lozano, Rodrigo and Alan, I'd definitely recommend doing so. Rodrigo is in the Premier League. He is Spanish, so he possesses very good links to Spain and also has a really good Premier League link, so you can always use him with Alan if you really wanted to. I'd recommend setting up something like a 4-1-2-1-2 second hybrid or even main hybrid to get wingers, so that you can always put Alan in the defensive role and having Rodrigo as one of your main forwards. It's very much up to you what formation, but I definitely recommend putting both of these guys into the team. Just going to show you on FUTBIN what he possesses. So as you can see here, he's currently around 2,000 coins, 2,500 and 2,600 coins on all platforms respectively. He does only have a wants to watch card, which is around 40,000 coins. I think at the moment, as we are speaking at this date, he is currently injured for Leeds, so I wouldn't recommend picking it up right now, but he hasn't had an inform yet on this FIFA, and I don't think he's been injured too much. Don't blame me for that because I'm not 100% sure, but I definitely recommend getting his 2,000 coin card for the moment. even if you have quite a lot of coins, it's always nice to have these cheaper players on the bench, because you never know, in certain games you might just need an injection of pace to your forward line depending on who you're using. So as I say, 2,000 coins, Spanish from Leeds. Let's have a little look at some of the best chemistry styles to use on the card. Some of the ones I'd definitely recommend is something like a Hunter card, which would put him to an 85 striker who would possess 99 pace and 86 shooting. They are very high stats, so a Hunter card's another one of them expensive ones. Shadow, Hunter are the expensive two. Engine and Anchor can sometimes be just under 1,000 coins, and the most of the rest of them are literally 3, 4, maybe even less coins. So if you could afford Rodrigo and get him in a Hunter, or get a Hunter for him, it does basically max out his pace and puts his shooting up to 90, with his shooting overall being 86. So if you can't get the Hunter card on him, I would still recommend going for a finisher card. Bumps him up to an 87 striker, and you can always play him in the forward line, so he can be a winger, a striker, centre forward, or even an 85 cam attacking midfielder is very much recommended. Having the finishing card on him puts his shooting up to 89 and his dribbling up to 90. They are two very good stats. The dribbling aspect of the game at the moment is not really a screaming feature, however it is very important. So if you had that on your striker, if he's got pace he doesn't need it, but if his dribbling's above 80, that is, if his dribbling is around 80, 81 like Rodrigo's is, you don't need to bump it up, but it's always a luxury to have, because if you can find something that bumps up either his pace, shooting, passing or dribbling, then you're very much into the key zone to having a very, very good card. So the finishing card, again, puts his dribbling stats, you know, up to 96, and his shooting stats, his finishing 95 and shot power 92. The final one I would recommend using on this guy is actually one that isn't one that you would really think about using, and that's this one. This is his Maestro, putting him up to 85 or even an 86 in the centre forward role. Main reason being is because if you're not going to be looking at the pace, because he's already got 90 plus, then you're going to be putting his shooting up by 5, passing by 5, and his dribbling even up by 5. Now, you can spread the costs of the chemistry style so that it's a lot more effective across the 3 parts of his game. That's very important. So, as I say, for 2,000 coins and for chemistry styles such as Maestro and Finisher that cost very bar minimum, you're going to be looking at a crazy striker. On to number 2. So at number 2, I decided to go with Dembele. Yeah, 5-star skill moves, 5-star weak foot. He's got a high medium work rate, but that doesn't really matter too much because you're going to be keeping him up the pitch at all costs anyway. Use them custom tactics and keep him up the pitch. He has a 92 pace, 86 dribbling, and then the other stats are what you'd probably find for a winger anyway. I do have the Champions League version of the card because I packed it the other day, but it's definitely going to be a player that I'll keep on reserves at the very least, because it's a very handy card that costs quite a lot of money, especially when the game first came out a few months ago. The main stats you're going to be looking at on his base card is that dribbling and that pace. You could say you should be looking at the passing and shooting as well. Very much so towards the passing, because if he's going to be a winger, he should be able to cross a ball like Lozano. However, I don't think it necessarily means too much because a lot of people use him as a false striker. So putting him in the left forward role, stick him in left forward, or even put him in the striker role. He's got very good links with France and Spain in the La Liga. Griezmann is a French player who plays for the exact same team, or even Benzema. More expensive options, however, still very validated to tell you about them. Just going to show you how much he's actually worth and how much he was worth when the game first came out. So here we go. Dembele. He is currently 4,200 coins. He's probably going to be about 4,000 coins respectively for a while. As you can see in the just above the Xbox price, it's got the games played. He's played around 8.5 million games overall. His price at the beginning of the game was steadily over 50k for a good few weeks. When he first came out, when the game first came out, he was around 70,000, 80,000 coins, And now because Team of the Year's just finished, he's completely dropped off. So, you know, you could be looking at someone who's going to be going up and down between 4,000, 3,000, all the way up to 10,000 for practically the rest of the game, depending on how rare his card is, whether he gets better versions or whether any more promos come out. So what you're probably going to be looking at with the main features for this card overall is the fact that he has a crazy upgrade card. 1.4 million, so you don't really want to be looking at it too much, but it's just like, I just wanted to mention that card for a minute because that has some crazy stats even at this point of FIFA a few months down the line. Going back to his base, if you wanted to compare the two cards, the best way to do so is definitely going to be looking at things like putting a Hawk card on him. It bumps him up one so that he's going to be an 84 winger, but adds some pace, shooting, physical, and a little bit of dribbling as well, which is very key, especially for the shooting side of things, because if you're going to be cutting on the inside, he is left-footed. You really want to be trying to take advantage of the fact that he has that 5-star weak foot as well. So very important that you keep thinking about that, because it's extremely important to put that card overall. Of course, things like the Hunter card's going to help bump up his card to an 85, max out his pace, bump up his shooting, and add a little bit to the dribbling. But again, you don't really want to be getting cards like that bump up the pace too much. What you really want to be looking for is that Deadeye card, because that Deadeye card adds so much factor to the passing as well, which is very important if you're going to play him as a winger or even as that false striker, as I mentioned before, because you can't play as a striker. That's why he's played so many games, and that's why he's so overpowered. He's in second in my list, and it's only because the person that is first was used for the first few days quite a lot, but then it just died off quick, whereas this card's very popular anyway, and as much as he probably did deserve the first place, I feel like everyone expected him to be first anyway. Enough going on about this card, I'm going to show you who is number one. So as number one, I've actually went for someone who, as I say, was popular and then just completely fell off, and it was more so because of the pace. So the Wants to Watch version I've got there, you can always just get the normal version. It's literally 2,000, if not less, coins. That's why he is number one, because he's bottom of the barrel. You play one game of FIFA and you should be able to afford this card. Wan Hee-chan, who has the most pace from the cards that we've seen so far. Well, most pace from the cards that we've seen today. Has fairly decent shooting for a striker, and he's still around that dribbling range where you should still be able to deal with the card quite well. There isn't anything too crazy about the work rates or, you know, the weak foot and skill moves, though he does possess a 4-star weak foot, which isn't too bad. He is high medium, but you are going to be keeping him relatively up the pitch most of the time, or even keeping him as a last man because he has 93 pace. Key aspects of the card scream out to you. First of all is the pace. It's 93 pace flat, 94 to 93, but it's 93 pace flat. So if you think about the chemistry styles, like the one I've got on him there, I've got him as 99 pace, 99 sprint speed, and I've bumped up his shooting quite a bit as well. So that card that you see there, as we've seen for the rest of them, it isn't necessarily just 77 rated. It's going to be a bit higher than that when we show you a moment on Footbin. It's a very good card. I used him in my starter team, the first one, and for the first few games he played really well for me. I only used him for a few games, otherwise I'm sure he'd have played well for me for a lot longer. I mean, the player traits are really good on the cards, so all of them do have player traits of their own. This one only has the technical dribbler, which is crazy because he's only got 79 dribbling. But I guess you're going to be looking at a bit more of the agility side of it for that kind of AI action, which is actually 91 on this card, so I guess that's another bonus. Just going to show you what he's actually worth on the Footbin. So, as you can see there, number one is Wan Hee-chan. Has to be 700 coins across each of the variants. He literally is one game of FIFA away from being in your hands. As much as he doesn't have the strongest of nationality links, he very much does have a strong league, being the Bundesliga, and I definitely can tell you now that the Bundesliga for under 10,000 coins as a whole can get you a very good starting team. Depending on when you start in this game, or whether you just wanted to keep your coins because something like Team of the Season's coming up. Team of the Year's just gone, so you can't use that, but there is things like this Friday as we speak, it's going to be the future kind of cards. So, you know, each promo that comes out, Future Stars, that's what it is, each promo that comes out, you could always be looking to sell your really good players to find really cheap replacements that do still a very good job, depending on whether you're going to play division rivals, squad battles, or even weekend league. So he's definitely a viable option for any of these game types. If we have a little look at what chemistry styles are the best, I've got to recommend probably the finishing one. Puts him up to an 82 striker for 700 coins. 82 striker or an 84 centre forward. Now that's an 85 shooting with an 88 dribbling. That's a crazy card. That is, if you see in that card as its base, then that card would still be worth about 15,000, 20,000 coins at this point in the game, but it's not, it's 700 coins. This is how important chemistry styles really are. Like, you can't stress it enough, they're an extremely important aspect to the game. Any other chemistry style, and even if you just wanted to be a bit crazy, bump out his pace to 99, who's passing to 78. If you wanted to bump up his shooting and his pace, you can always get a hunter card. Bumping up his with the Deadeye card, you can bump up his shooting and passing to make him 84 as well. Or if you just wanted to, I don't know, bump up his physical as well, so he's got a bit of a aerial presence because he is only 5'10", but you can always bump that up to 74, putting his pace to 98, shooting 82, and even bumping up the base card to an 81 rated card from the 77 that it is. So they are definitely the top 5 most overpowered cards in my opinion at the moment. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Leave a like if you're new around here, subscribe whilst you're at it, leave a comment down below what you think of these top 5 players, comment down below what suggestions you might have for my type of videos in the future. There's going to be loads more new content and a lot more fun to be had on this game. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.